Hi, I'm Mr. Varn, and welcome to English Language Arts for 12th grade at Kings Peak High School. And you're going to learn a little bit about who I am, what I believe, and why it matters for this class. Now, I'm Mr. Varn, and this is Kings Peak High School, as I said. A little obvious there. So, our objective today, who am I? Since we're going to spend a lot of virtual time together and maybe even some in person time together, since I am available for you, you're going to want to know a little bit about me. What is my philosophy of education? That's even more important because I assess you up for success, and you might need me to write you recommendation letters of this, that, and the other because you're 12th graders. So you need to know what my philosophy is. How do you best succeed with me helping you? Because you're the one who's got to succeed. That tells you a little bit right there. And what is the general philosophy of this class? What are we aiming to do in English in 12th grade? All right, I'm Mr. Varn. Now, you can see me, but you can also see me there too, which is a little strange. Um, I have taught English as well as social studies, composition, humanities, ethics, film, and creative writing for 14 years. I have also taught university and community college. So, total altogether, I've been teaching for 17 years, since about 2004. I'm originally from Georgia, and I taught public school there as well as community college. However, I have been a professor at a university in Korea. I've taught teachers. I've taught at international baccalaureate and advanced placement programs in Korea, Mexico, and Egypt, in addition to teaching here in Utah for the last 5 years. Well, this is year 5, actually. I'm a published author, and I've worked in publishing as a second job for 15 years, as well as a poet and an editor. I work for a book publishing company as a second job now. So when I give you advice on writing, I'm giving it to you from a practical standpoint, right? I work in the field in addition to teaching it. So you're getting some authentic advice. All right. Places I have taught and traveled. You can see South Korea. I lived in rural South Korea for a few years. 한국어 전무대요. I lived in Mexico for 2 years in Torreon in the state of Coahuila. All right. And I lived in Egypt for about 2 years as well. I don't speak Arabic, so I can't impress you there. But I have a pretty broad view, and I bring those views into the classroom as best I can. Some other things about me. As a teacher, I'd like you to understand that I probably have more empathy for your struggles than you realize. One, I am dyslexic and aphasic. I still got a master's in writing. I still taught university. I still traveled the world. I can kind of poorly, but I can speak a few different languages other than English. None of these things were predicted for me. But I did need help. All right? I needed teachers, I needed friends, I needed family, I needed peers. I needed help. And because I needed help, I know you're going to need it too. No matter how smart you are, you're still going to need help sometimes. And it's literally my job. All right? And why it's my job, I'll get to in a few minutes. I am an avid reader as well, but I wasn't until college. It was not easy for me to become the reader I am today. You see books in the background, you're going to see tons of them around. And I love literature, and I love nonfiction, and I love fiction, and I love film. I love reading history even. But that came to me late. Now, there was books around when I was a kid, and I had a good education in high school and before, but I struggled with it until it just clicked with me one day. So if you're a late bloomer, that's fine. If you don't like reading, well, it's probably what you're reading, honestly, and that's probably a large part of it, or how you're being taught to read. That could be another part of it. Despite having taught for a long time, I had a career before being a teacher or a professor. I have profession there. Proof of my dyslexia, actually. Um, I want you to know that I realize most of you aren't going to be English majors, and your love of literature needs to be mixed with your practical realities. Sure, it's great to know about Shakespeare, and it might even help you in some very abstract ways in whatever job you want, be that lawyer or welder. But I also know that there are a lot of practical realities in your life, and we'll get to that in a minute too. So I have two teaching mentors, and they're not obvious. Now I'm kind of old, and that's even an old meme. My educational philosophy, or why Genghis Khan is one of my idols. This class works a lot like an army. It's got to be disciplined and it needs to work as a team. You're going to do class discussions, you need to participate as a class. You need to treat each other with respect, and you realize that you all have similar goals. I'm your leader. I will guide you in your battle with language, and sometimes it's going to feel like a battle. I think you will become better thinkers, speakers, and writers, but at the end of this course, you need to follow my instructions. But let me give you a major exception to that, or maybe explain it more. As a leader, I know you aren't robots. You have agency. You have to be convinced. Like the golden horde, you are free. You have to choose how you're going to follow my instructions. And you have to best apply the lessons for the role you choose for yourself. I can't choose it for you. I mean, I can superficially on one assignment, but that's just one assignment. You have, as seniors, and you know this, the rest of your life coming up. Why Genghis Khan? Why not any other general? Because Genghis Khan led a people who were free but had very little. Now there are rumors in the Secret History of the Mongols, which is about the Mongolian horde, that they were literally so poor they were making fur blankets out of mice pelts, and they didn't like to be told what to do. And the person who led them had to prove that they deserved it and that it was worthy to lead. And Genghis Khan took this free people who had very little, and they established an empire that was the largest empire the world has ever known. Now, I don't have those kind of ambitions. I don't want us to take over the world. Plus, that's kind of a bloody mess, and we want to avoid such things. But I do want you to know that I realize that you're coming to me with what you're coming to me with, right? Maybe you didn't understand something in seventh grade and it's just been compounding for forever, and you've just heard the teachers blame the teachers before you. If we want to succeed, both individually and as a group, I got to accept who you are and the problems that you have, regardless of why you have them. We'll figure out why and how to fix it later. We got to fix it right now. And that is my first philosophy. And my second idol is almost the opposite. It's Mr. Rogers. And why Mr. Rogers is my idol, let me get myself out of the way there, is not obvious. Before I was a teacher, I was a professor. But before I was a professor, my mother worked as a prison nurse and worked briefly as a guard, and I worked briefly as a guard too. In my interactions with prisoners, most of them wanted the opportunities that they lost, particularly to be educated, but what they wanted even more than that was to be respected. And if you respected them, they always treated you well. And that was hard sometimes. I mean, some people who go to prison did some things that it's hard to fully accept what they are, but you have to in a way. And by showing them the respect they deserve as a human being, both our lives got a lot easier. So I believe in that respect. I believe that you are worthy of respect and love regardless of who you are. Maybe you're going to get it in different ways. You do have to earn a lot of respect, and yes, it's true, but we're going to start off with the assumption that you deserve it. If you disprove us, then we'll try to teach you how to deserve it. Because when you get that respect, you're going to feel better. And that's the second thing that guides my classroom and teaching philosophy. All right. Now, here's a philosophy of the class. We're a competency-based program. So what does that mean? That means that I care about what you can do, not how much time you spent doing it. Now, I also don't believe that even though we're going to have tests at the end of every quarter, and those tests are multiple choice tests, I believe that most things in life after you leave school are not multiple choice tests. Yes, you have to do well on them to get jobs, college, even a driver's license, but it's not quite the same thing. Also, I've heard a lot of kids say that we don't teach you how to do taxes or, uh, you know, um, weld. Now, we probably don't teach you how to weld, but the reason why schools don't teach you how to do taxes, even though we do teach financial literacy, actually, so it's a little bit of a untrue statement, is that those laws change every year. Do you know the best way to learn how to do taxes? Know basic math and know how to read. But as teachers, we don't do you well if we don't explain how you transfer those skills, how they relate. If you're just given a whole lot of facts about mitochondria and never learn what that does for your life, then it really doesn't matter. If you learn how to diagram a sentence, which admittedly we don't really do anymore, or if you read Shakespeare but never apply it to giving a speech or getting a job or trying to convince someone or even winning a Twitter battle, we haven't really taught you how to use those skills because they're related. So that's what we're focusing on, a skills transfer. Also, literature is a wide open topic, and writing and reading are huge. And we're going to try to give you as much agency and responsibility for developing your own interests instead of having the teacher give it to you based on theirs. Yes, I'm going to present literature that I have to present you because Utah has standards. And yes, I have my literary biases and preferences just like you do. But if I never give you a chance to develop your own taste, what am I doing for you? All right. So we're going to try to give you that ability to make choices and to apply this to parts of your life that you often probably don't feel like you have. Yes, we're going to learn Shakespeare. Yes, we're going to write a formal research paper. But we're also going to learn media literacy, which is really important these days. We're going to learn how to write a resume, which will help you get a job. We'll teach you how to develop grit, or at least try to, which will help you across the board in life. And we're going to try to show you how to use skills in English that you probably don't think matter for how they matter in other places. Because English is one of the biggest predictors of your life success, not just in college, because not all of you are going to go to college, but in life in general. English and math skills, because if you have the ability to do math and the ability to read, you can learn almost anything else, particularly with YouTube. Reading, writing, and watching carefully, which watching videos is a kind of literacy, can get you by in the workaday world in ways that very few other things can. And that's why we're going to focus on practical skills as well as what you consider traditional literature. And the first unit we're going to have is going to be on your future and writing stuff like college application essays, which are super important for going to school, or a cover letter for a job, because you're going to need one if you want a job that's not hourly, frankly. How to write a resume, because you're going to need one of those, period. We're going to go over all that. And that is the philosophy of this class. We're going to take the abstract knowledge that we expect that you're going to get to go to college or whatever and try to apply it to other areas of your life. And you're going to help us do that by giving us inputs and picking stuff that you like and you care about to do the work on. I'm not going to pick your research topic for you because it's a lot better if you write something you actually care about. All right, now this is the philosophy of English Language Arts in 12th grade. So we covered our objectives. It's a little longer video. Most of my videos are going to be shorter than this. Have a great day.